guys, what is going on? Rematch here, and welcome back to another episode of Cards and Castles TV commentary. Of course, you guys know the drill by now with this series. We'll go through 3 TV matches and see if there's, anything exciting on the in the ladder or on the ranked circuit right now. So, with that being said, let's just jump right into it and see what we can find. And we'll start off with, of course, Osaka versus Thorne. Both ranked 30, but running quite opposite colors. Osaka rocking, of course, the Warlock Crusader, Thorne rocking the Pirate Druid. I think both of them are going to throw an Unholy Altar out to kind of start off their games. Thorne, got his out a little bit earlier, so he'll get the zombies first. He'll also reinforce with the Rat Infested Hovel, so I can assume Thorne's plan right now is to make some sort of spawner buff deck. Which is a viable option, but we do see that Dragon's Fire in Osaka's hand, so that can change the tide quickly. Osaka reinforces a lot of his board with a lot of small units. We see 2 Hassan City Guards plus Lumberjack, but Thorne is continuing the spawn pressure. He's got yet another Unholy Altar out on the board. I think his objective right now is Osaka's objective is to just get rid of these spawners. Thorne is trying to protect them as best as he can here. The Knight of Flowers is going to be difficult for Thorne to get rid of right now, I think, especially due to what's blocking it and due to Thorne's lack of removal. We'll throw an Armory as sort of a buff to sort of block what's incoming, which I think is a good, viable way to, I think, just protect his hovel. He has to keep these spawners alive right now. It's his, means of strategy here. But he's going to force the Knight to make the trade, and of course the Zombie's going to take out the hovel instead. Tarius Fowls as well to sort of become a presence there. I think that also protects his units down the center lane from any sort of incoming damage. And move Mischievous Imp you see up top there for some, hopefully, maybe RNG damage. I don't know where he wants to land that, though. We'll see. Knight of Flowers and Zombie makes the trade, but Thorne follows up with another Armory, so it is just a big spawner buff deck. And by now, Dragon's Fire isn't going to help too much. We see Osaka's trying to push as much as he can. He'll use a T-Rex to launch a zombie forward, but he's getting at least Thorne is getting at least 2 4/4 zombies every turn, which do stack up. He'll play a Centaur as well to hit the altar by Osaka. So now Osaka's spawner, or his spawner, excuse me, is gone. Osaka, all he has to deal with right now. Well, he does pull out Defective Flame Cannon, so I was going to get rid of an Armory. Interesting choice there. He doesn't mind the tokens, but he does want them to be weaker for probably that Dragon's Fire right there. So now Thorne's entire board is wiped, and Osaka's got a clear lead in the matchup, taking a huge bite out of the castle with T-Rex. But Thorne responds with a Beastmaster. That Beastmaster will spawn a Bear Hog and Bear. So, of course, a perfect trade to get rid of the T-Rex there and reinforce his presence yet again with a Hovel. So those spawners are going to still kick in. So Osaka didn't really buy himself all that he needed here for, to be safe. He's going to play a Flamestorm, which does weaken all the spawners, get rid of a few things. He'll play a Flux thanks to the Tarius Files being destroyed, as well as a Lumberjack. Will he hold the Defective Flame Cannon? He will. Okay, so he's going to probably hold that to maybe get rid of a spawner, or maybe the second Armory. We'll see. As Thorne plays a Southport Captain, plus Centaur to run up and kick out the Flux. Not going for face damage. Interesting choice. But he will give Osaka Ambush and Dwarven Weapons to work with. Osaka, for his next turn, will play the Keeper of the Doorway. That'll get, hopefully, some undead units into his hand. He is going to play the Dwarven Weapons as well. I don't think he wants to hold on to that, so he wants to make room as much as he can. And he's going to want to protect his face here, which you see he got rid of the Rat there. Of course, Defective Flame Pen taking out that second Armory, as I predicted, meaning that all of Thorne's tokens are now going to be regular cost. But Thorne plays a Call for Aid, which is interesting. He'll also play a Voyager plus King Crab combination. So Thorne is really, pushing down, I think, whatever he's got left in his hand to try to push Osaka, because he is slightly behind in castle health, but not by much. Osaka's going to play a Headless Horseman to hit the bottommost spawner. He'll also play an Ambush as well. I think that's going to go on the King Crab, okay? And he'll probably trade with the Salahar. He will, so of course that Salahar damage is going to the Rat up front, which I don't think is what he wanted, because that Keeper of the Doorway has to now forcibly trade with another stronger unit, meaning the Keeper of the Doorway is down. And of course, Thorne's going right to work on Osaka's castle, taking away HP, but very minorly. He'll reinforce his board with the 2 Northland Rangers he got from the call for aid a turn earlier. Move all of his tokens up. Of course, he doesn't have to worry about chain damage, so he's able to move them freely without sort of that regard. And Osaka, unfortunately, has to surrender. He doesn't have the cards to block off his attack. And that's a very well played game by Thorne. Obviously, spawners are very big right now in whatever colors you kind of run them in. So it makes sense that, if you play a spawner buff deck, you are going to be seeing some impressive results because you can keep producing small, strong units every turn. And, forcing your opponent to deal with them. So again, very well played by Thorne. But let's move on into match number 2 and see what that one has in store for us. Our next match will be Youcantwin going up against monquey. I'm going to call him Mon to abbreviate his name just to avoid any sort of butchering. So Yu starts off his game with a lumberjack, of course, a standard opening move. Mon responds with a coin into a colossus, which will be interesting because you see that he's going to throw the manfish out now. That will give the colossus some movement to work with next turn, as Youcantwin's going to just push a lot of his early units onto the board. Mon responds with a manfish of his own. I think that manfish is going to hit the other one, or hit Youcantwin's. Colossus gets rid of the lumberjack. Pretty standard stuff there. Okay, so he is going to trade his manfish in. Okay, so now the Colossus is the only unit left on the board. He was able to, nicely get rid of that other manfish without and weakening the Colossus, I should say. But Mon's going to respond with another manfish of his own, plus lumberjack, but also hitting that 3 damage on Youcantwin's castle. So he does get a little bit of an early advantage here. Dissipate on the Colossus. Not sure how good that will be for Youcantwin, because that Colossus is now sitting at full health, from a 3-1, so I think it was a forced move. He didn't want to have to do it, but he did it. You respond with a Koru. Interesting that Koru is being played. You don't really see him too often, so he gets rid of that manfish, and of course sneaks down here into the corner. You can see on your screen where he is. Yu's going to take some additional damage, from a lumberjack, but Mon's going to reinforce his board with a Grendel, and he gets to move that Colossus up thanks to the Grendel being a monster. But Yu brings out a Behemothra, so that's going to give him a little extra gusto. But a Dwarven Scope will go on the Koru. That's kind of interesting there. So now he's got a stealthed range unit, which can just hop around and move around. So that's going to be good for Yu. But Grendel's going to take a big hit out of the castle, and a backstab will finish off Yu's Behemothra. Mon brings out a Behemothra of his own, though, so... Okay, so that might be... So he's going to Villaroth the Grendel, which will bring out, of course, a simple buff on Crew. I think that was the better move. Because I think in my head, you could also just Lumberjack, but that would open up the castle for additional damage. Kraken, though, Alright, so now it comes down to if you can success. Okay, so he takes the Kraken trade with Koru. He brings up a Minotaur as well, plus Lumberjack. He's going to try and defend the board the best he can to avoid any sort of damage here. Mon responds to a Nala-Kirajira, bringing him Serpent Witch and Behemothra into his hand. Yu gets a Kaijir and a Manfish. Not the pulls I think he was looking for, but he has to kind of take them as they come. He'll throw out both of those cards, Behemothra and Serpent Witch, and of course trade with the rest of the board there. And now we see his lineup of monsters now going to swarm in on Yu. But Yu brings out a Manfish, which will of course hit and trade with one of the Behemothras. Korug finishes off the other Behemothra, being a 5/5. Youcan brings out a Salahar and a Colossus, plus Kaijir to really shake up the board here. Salahar trades with Kaijir, Colossus moves up, King Kaiju, moves forward to protect the castle. Kaijir gets summoned to sort of, I guess, interact with the Serpent Witch. Not sure what he's going to try and do there, but just trying to block him off, I guess. Another King Kaiju is summoned, this time from Mon's side. So now 2 Kaijus roam the board. How is Yu going to respond, though, is the question. He'll trade one there, or trade the Kaiju with, I forgot what it was there. It might be a Jira. But it looks good for Yu's comeback right now. We see a Kraken plus multi-strike. So that'll take 10 off the cast thanks to the multi-striking Kraken. And of course he gets to move back behind the castle as well, dealing extra damage. Ajira gets summoned, Behemothra and Manfish. I didn't see Mons, unfortunately. But I think you pulled off a pretty successful counterplay here. He's got monsters all over the board here. Mon really can't do much. He can't reach the castle as far as I know. If he's going to multi-strike, it's definitely game over, but he murders the Kraken. That's 5 gold right there. Yeah, 5 gold right there. Kaiju trades with the Colossus. Behemothra brings out or finishes off the Kaiju. Flux as well. He's done everything he can at this, but unfortunately it looks like that's going to be game over. Yeah, I think that's definitely the game. So Lumberjack gets played here. He's gonna trade with the Flux. I'm waiting for Koru to finish off the castle with 1 blow. Okay, he actually hits the Kaiju, which trades with the Kaiju. Behemothra trades with the Kaiju. Manfish and the other one move up. Yeah, there's a lot of monsters going around, so excuse me if I feel like this match is a bit choppy, but you guys know there's a lot of things going on the board right now. I think this is a very interesting monster mirror matchup. We don't really see monster decks a lot, especially in the current meta, but they are still pretty powerful, as demonstrated by this match right here. Both users look like they're putting up a strong fight here. I don't think Mon can really hold on though anymore. We see him trying to use everything he can. He's got a big hand, but not enough gold to use it. Koru gets frozen. Manfish comes out. He's gonna hit the Behemothra. Yep. Kaiju comes out. He's trying to do the best he can to sort of wrap up the enemy here, but unfortunately it's not enough. So good match by Youcantwin. I think a monster matchup. It's definitely interesting to see, especially now in the modern day meta. We don't really see a lot of monster decks, and if we do, they usually fall under the Viking Pirate, thanks to the fact that they have some Salahar plus Viking buff shenanigans. So a good mirror matchup to see indeed. And again, I apologize that match was a bit choppy. A lot of monsters going around on the board right there, so things can get easily lost. So with that being said, let's hop into match number 3 and see if we can finish off this episode with a really excellent match. Alright, and for our final match, it'll be FERRARU versus Tucker123. So FERRARU starts off his game pretty simply with his Salahar Rider out on the board. Tucker unfortunately does not have anything to counteract that. FERRARU gets to play an Inspire, which gives him Questioning Knight and Questioning Knight again. So I'm not sure what FERRARU's deck is trying to do here. I mean, I see the Frozen Storm, I see Yarm, but I see Courthouse, which is interesting. So I don't think this is a pure War Party deck. Tucker brings out a Lumberjack of his own to sort of just stand there, giving FERRARU the opportunity to play his Courthouse now. Tucker responds with a Banshee, moving his Lumberjack forward. He think he wants this trade. Is FERRARU going to give it to him? No, he will not. Question Knight comes out to block instead, make that 2 Questioning Knights right in front of the castle there. So FERRARU is looking to sort of build up his unit count here. But Tucker has to get the draw here, so he sacks the Lumberjack into the Questioning Knight, brings out a Barbarian and calls it a turn, giving FERRARU another opportunity to reinforce his board. He kind of moves everything. He doesn't want to have anything hit, though, because he wants to utilize his Courthouse. But he kind of moves everything aggressively forward. Tucker responds with a Metal plus Dragon's Fire, so that's going to actually clear the board wholeheartedly. Only dealing 2. Okay, so it does deal 2 damage, or 4 actually, to Barbarian, thanks to the Salahar Rider. The 2 of them, their last wills doubled. FERRARU has to Frozen Storm then this turn. Not the best Frozen Storm, but he kind of has to. He doesn't have any other options. The trap would be useless, and he wants to kind of save the damage. Or doesn't want to take that damage, excuse me. But Tucker uses this opportunity to bring out a fresh Barbarian plus Vicious Sunflower. FERRARU has to verdict his castle now. He doesn't really have any other options. Giving Tucker, again, a wide open castle to hit here. He'll actually hit the Courthouse instead, plus Banshee on the castle, so he doesn't want to deal with that judgment. A good call by Tucker. He'll also summon out Andrew, so now Banshee and Vicious Sunflower's last wills will both power up Andrew, so that's a nice touch as well. Arbiter's Return for FERRARU will hit the Weakened Barbarian. Trade with that, doesn't want to deal with it anymore, but the Verdict will also activate, meaning that the Andrew is actually going to get instantly destroyed thanks to the Arbiter Return plus Trap interaction. Still a very interesting combination, but one I think is a bit cheap. But again, personal opinion on that one. Banshee and Barbarian hit the castle, and Mordok plus Vicious Sunflower also move forward. The Mordok, of course, being fresh. FERRARU used the opportunity to summon a Yenaroth, which will kill off the Barbarian quickly, 1, 2, 3 without any problem. Meanwhile, Tucker responds with an Armory, powering up all of his other units, plus a Pegacorn. A good choice on the Pegacorn. I do like that more people are starting to incorporate Pegacorn into their decks. It's a good touch to stave off any burn. But FERRARU uses a second Yenaroth. I think he's going to get rid of that other Banshee on face. He unfortunately had to freeze his own unit to do that, but I think it might have been worth it in the end for him. Another Dragon's Fire from Tucker won't really do much. He'll weaken one and then kill one with the Blue Fire Bolt, leaving the one in the middle at 4 health. But FERRARU's hand is not looking good. We see him playing a Lore Master right now, plus I think he's going to play both Unholy Altars. He will do that. But again, I don't think he's got really the opportunity to play those kind of moves. We see Yenneroth trading with a Sunflower. Sunflower's last will damage clears the way from Mordok. And we see a Headless Horseman come out. He'll use Shockwave. And of course, hit the castle for a game over. So I think that was a very well played game by Tucker. FERRARU's, I don't think, it's hard to say that Crusader Viking does or doesn't work. We obviously see those colors work with War Party, but I don't think FERRARU's deck was strictly a War Party. We did see a lot of other things mixed in there: Judgment, Freeze, small unit presence. So I'm not sure what deck FERRARU was using there, but very well played by Tucker, avoiding the Judgment with the Dragon's Fire, and then slowly but surely overpowering the board and just rushing FERRARU. Unfortunately, FERRARU really couldn't, hold his own thanks to the draw, but a nice effort nonetheless. I think that's a great way to end off this episode. Being said, guys, if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like on it, share with your friends, of course, comment down below your thoughts on this episode of TV commentary. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't, what you thought about the matches, etc. And while you're down there, please make sure to also hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel or haven't done so already. Help share your support, help us grow the channel, all by clicking that subscribe button at no additional cost to you. So that being said, guys, until next time, stay gaming.